All right, today's April 25th, 2024, and I want to make a recap. I was going to make it last night as a midweek recap, but I didn't, so I'm going to make it right now while I have some time. My trades from Monday to Thursday, and yeah, we'll get right into it. So on 4/22, my first trade was YYAI back here. The idea was it was a big runner, came down off its highs really hard, and I was looking for that listed first Green Day bounce. Let me actually go to a 1 minute so you could see this better. So here it is right in here. So the idea was to let it open, consolidate, let volume build, let it churn, and buy the high daybreak. So it opened, we consolidated. I bought the high daybreak. It kept spiking. Volume dried up, which I was a little concerned by, but I gave it a second. Volume came back in. We started spiking, and you can't see it here, but green red I think was like 88 cents. So I was selling a few right here, and then I said to myself, you know what? I'm just going to get out because it's getting a little later in the day. I'm not sure if this is really going to break all the way out, and if it does, I would rather rebuy higher later. So I ended up selling out. Then it pulled, and actually the volume dried up and it just faded away. And that was my first play, list of first Green Day bounce. WISA, WISA was my next play. Same idea, big runner, dropped hard, had a red day, looking for that bounce play. So let's go back to that 1 minute chart so you can see it. 5 day, 1 minute. Okay, so big run. Had the big run, had the red day here, and the same idea as YYAI, the listed first Green Day pattern. I'm looking for volume, holding previous day lows, holding VWAP, consolidating in a tight range. And WISA, we got that. It opened, it dipped, but we were trading good volume, and then we started holding up, holding up, holding up. I was actually going long in the 570s here. Ended up cutting it as it was coming back down. I thought it was going to crack, but we quickly reclaimed VWAP, big volume, holding the previous day lows. So I was rebuying at 580, 590, and then adding over 6. I had 2,500 shares total. And this ended up going on a nice run. I was selling too soon. I was selling in the 640s here, 650s, 660s, and I was all out on the 7 break here. And that was just an A plus classic list of first Green Day. I mean, you could have just waited for the high daybreak, buy 1,000 shares here at 6, risk down to 560, boom, selling the breakthrough 7. A plus trade. Look at the volume, increase, increase, increase. That's what you want to see. And yeah, great overall job. Very simple trade. It ended up going a lot further, actually turned to a great short if you were shorting it in here, a 50% bounce short, as I would call it. And yeah, that was that. And overall on the day there, if I go into my charts, that was about a $2,600 profit between those two on Monday. Then on the 23rd, I played YYAI again, which would have been this day. I was looking for that same type of list of first Green Day bounce, which has really been my A plus pattern this year. So that was the day I played Monday, Tuesday here. So we had a tight range, and I was really excited because if we broke through the highs, I could really size. It would give me really good risk reward. We ended up dipping hard, so really it took the excitement out of it. But then coming back up rather quickly on good volume, holding VWAP. So I was buying here. I didn't love it because the risk was so wide, so I was risking 66 here. I said, you know what? I'm going to give it a chance. If it doesn't work right away, rather quickly, I'm going to cut it. So it started spiking. I actually sold a small piece up here as it was spiking, and then volume just dried up, and I just cut it. I said, that's disgusting. I don't want anything to do with it. I'm just going to leave it alone. Locked in, I think, $400 on that one. And then this next one, Sizu, is where I got into trouble. I was shorting Sizu on a day one spike. I thought it was a good bounce short, but I've learned that when I find tickers on scan and trade them as they pop up, I tend to do a lot worse in my trading. I'm way better preparing the night before. So if this was a listed for a screen day watch the night before, I would have been way more prepared, but it wasn't. It spiked in the morning, was a random spiker on scan, and I was, shorting it in here, trying to short it here, trying to short it here, and it just chopped me up, and I lost, I think, 1,400 on it. Yeah, and lost about 1,000 on the day, which sucks, but Caesar taught me a great lesson. It taught me focus on the tickers that are on your watch list and ignore the rest. Don't look at scanners. Don't look at social media. Screw it. It's not worth my time. I have such positive expected value when I just focus on my watch list tickers and just do what I say. As we'll see in the next 2 days, we'll see exactly how that worked out. So my new mantra is focus on my watch list. I'm not a cheater. I don't cheat on my tickers. My tickers for the day are my tickers. I don't go looking elsewhere. So 424 yesterday on Wednesday, I played YYAI again. And that was right here for the list of first green day bounce. I just thought to myself, it looked like this the night before. I said, you know what? It's so tight down here, trading good volume still. If this just happens to perk, maybe it could really get running. And if volume really comes in and churns, it could be really nice. So again, list of first green day, classic pattern. We open, red green was 73 cents. We open, we start consolidating. And right here, I'm saying, okay, if this starts breaking, I'm buying. I started buying a little bit here. The volume wasn't great, but I was willing to take the risk with 10,000 shares, risking down to 73 and scale if it worked. Really started breaking out, and I added on the dip right here and here. At this point, I think I had 13,000 shares, something like that. And then we cracked hard. I was a little worried, but I said, you know what? Volume came in on that crack. Let it churn, let it build, see if it could reclaim VWAP. We reclaim. I added when we broke through 82 right here. And then I added again as we were breaking out through the highs. I think I had 22,000 shares. And then I just let it spike out. I said, now my goal is to sell into a parabolic or a hard crack, or if my risk breaks, which, sorry, messing up the chart there. At this point, I was saying, okay, I'm moving my risk up to 80 cents. I think that level is more important now. And then it kept working, kept working. Once we got up here and broke out towards 1, I moved my risk up to 85. I'm dynamically moving my risk. We broke through 1. I sold a good portion of my position. Then it came down, held VWAP. I tried to rebuy it here, but then I sold it off because volume, again, was fading. I thought maybe late day it might perk here, but I ignored it. I didn't go for it. And then it just faded off. But with the amount of size I took this morning, I was able to lock in a really, really great profit on YYAI of 4,200, which was awesome. It was one of those days out of my month. I say that my month always comes down to 5 days normally. There's 5 days where I really make my money. I usually average on those days, anywhere between 4,000 and 7,000 on those 4 to 5 days a month, I would say. And this was one of those days for me where it paid to be there, it paid to size. The levels were setting up perfectly on the chart in order for me to add size, scale, be patient. If you notice, the volume really started coming in. And once it really started coming in, that's when I was like, okay, now it's time to sell, because where volume comes in pretty heavy is where a lot of times shares change hands and it could reverse. But yeah, it was a great trade, and I only had to take one trade, and that's what happens when I focus on less and I just focus on what's on my watch list. I end up doing less. Less is more. And then today I had 3 plays. AGBA, again, listed first green day, one of my favorite patterns. Huge runner, came down 1 red day, looking for the bounce. We opened, the market gap down big, so I was very nervous about going long, but I did go long. I have 5,000 shares long at 201. And then right here, when we rejected VWAP, I was selling at 205, 206, 207, and then it ends up going on a nice run. So my fault. It is what it is. I should have just stuck to my risk. I had really good risk reward. but it happens. If anything, I probably should have been focused on going to reclaim VWAP for a secondary break, which is normally really good on listed first screen days as well. But I said the market's weak, and I have other plays to focus on, like NIVF, another listed first screen day. My rules this morning, because the market was weak, was take gain sooner, size down, and do less. Just trade less, focus on less, be patient. So NIVF, same idea. Like I said, listed for screen day, looking for it to open, consolidate, hold VWAP, break the highs, go green, get volume. So we open, and we're churning in a tight range, hold VWAP, break the highs. I bought at 155, 156. Big volume came in, perfect. Love it, exactly what I look for. So I was patient, really good risk reward. Didn't oversize 3,000 shares, not a big risk. Could have freaking went 10,000 if I wanted to. But I said, I don't know if this is really the one. But it ended up holding green, added a little bit when it had a quick wick down. And then I was just selling into this spike right here. I was all out at 175. I called it a day. I said, you know what? I would rather lock in my profit sooner, which was one of my rules as the market was weak this morning, and take a good profit. And that's it. And this one ended up fading hard. And, now it's in play again for tomorrow. Theoretically, if we could maybe, I don't know if there's enough volume. The volume would really have to come back in, build churn, just like YYAI, but I'll give them a chance. I noticed that when they fade off on volume and everyone starts to ignore them and the eyes shift off the name, that's when they actually tend to bounce. They slowly creep back. Volume drips in, it builds, it churns, bids hold, higher lows hold, VWAP holds, breakthrough highs, and we start spiking. So I will never take these off radar as long as there's just enough volume where I think they're doable. And then my best play of the day is CZU. So, like I said, I messed up this day shorting it on day one. I won't do that again. Just terrible. I was searching for trades rather than letting trades come to me. I ignored it on day two. And then day three here, pretty perfect action. I mean, we got the wick through the previous day highs, which stopped out probably a bunch of shorts. Hard slam, under VWAP, staying heavy. I shorted at 12.06. And then we came down, stayed heavy, which I loved. And then on the crack red, I was patient for a second. I want to see it confirm. We have one more crack. And I said, you know what? I'm taking it. And I got out perfectly at 10.40. Really good execution, because normally I just like to take singles on lower quality short setups, which is what this was. I didn't think this was going down to 8 today or back to 5. I just thought, you can make $1, maybe 2 a share with high odds. And that was my day today, locking in a little over 2,300. And, great week so far. Still have one more day left. So don't want to jinx anything, but definitely going to play it safe. Only push it if I really have conviction, seeing A+ type of name. But, great week, just about a little over $8,000 so far. Hopefully could add to it tomorrow. But if I lose a bit too, it is what it is. As long as I stick to my process, I stick to my patterns, and I stick to my discipline, and I stick to my tickers.